Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse, and in today's segment we're going to discuss survival lessons for everyday life. One of the common pitfalls that a lot of people fall into in the preparedness community, especially those who are very new to the whole mindset, is that because everything seems so overwhelming, we tend to focus on living in that doomsday horrible scenario, or pick your horrible scenario of choice. We tend to focus on the negative, and we don't focus on living the everyday. There are certain lessons that are applicable to our life regardless of our circumstances. And there's three here that I'm going to discuss with you today. One is adaptability wins. Two, a cheerful attitude fixes a lot. And then three, your friends determine a lot of your outcome. So the first is adaptability. Really, and actually this is kind of a Charles Darwin thing, the species that retains adaptability, at the end of the day, typically that species is going to do better. And adaptability, much of it is a mental perspective, being rigid and fixed in our plans and not being flexible and adaptable. This is something that is a pitfall in a survival circumstance, but it's also a pitfall in living everyday lives. I've actually seen this a lot with women who I worked with in natural childbirth. I've seen this where we're so rigid on a birth plan, or we're so rigid mentally about the way things are going to be. Almost every time that happens, it backfires, and the way that they had anticipated having their child gets turned on its head. So being flexible and being adaptive in any circumstance is going to benefit us. And this means problem solving and planning out ahead of time different options that you have. But really, flexibility is a big predictor as to how successful you're going to be in life regularly, but also in a survival scenario. The second survival lesson for everyday life is that a cheerful attitude is a good predictor of your success and your outcome. We could go on and talk for hours about this. Physiologically, a brain that is unstressed is a brain that's going to be able to problem solve better. There's an interesting little shift that happens whenever you're stressed and that fight or flight kicks in. Blood shunts away from the prefrontal lobe, which is where all of our decision making and complex thought processes happen. When you're stressed, when you're sad, when you're angry or pessimistic, the blood doesn't go to the right part of the brain to make good decisions. So operating from a cheerful perspective and from a happy outlook, that's going to help you in a disaster, but it's also going to help you in everyday life as well. And I would submit that we are determining the way we're going to react in a bad scenario. That's being determined by how we live our everyday lives. Actually, when I was training out of tactical response, James Yeager, he had this saying when I was out there: you will not default to your level of training. You will default to your level of mastery on anything, whether it's with weapons or everyday decision-making processes. The way that you train yourself to behave each day through your decisions, that's going to be the same you that carries over in a disaster. So if you are in a pattern of thinking positively, and you're in a pattern of being cheerful and optimistic, which is a challenge, it's going to serve you well, because that's going to be your level of mastery. To what degree you have mastered having an optimistic and low-stress thought process, that's what's going to manifest in a disaster. So, being cheerful. The third is that your friends are also a good predictor. It's snowing. Your friends are a great predictor of how things are going to go down for you. This includes your neighbors or the people that are in your group. Relationships can be strained with normal life processes, the birth of a child, a marriage, go on down the list, moving. The people that you spend time with, those are the people that are going to mold and shape who you are. We are communal creatures. That's just how we are designed to be. We're tribal, most of us. And the people that you spend time around, the way that they are in life, the way that their outlooks are, that's going to translate over into you and how you do things. So not just, having friends with good skill sets, or, picking people based on what they can bring to the table, but picking people to be your friends who are good, moral, upright influences on you, that's going to benefit you no matter what. So this is more of a generality. These concepts that we've talked about today, these are more general principles, but they have application in the little things and also in the big things. Really, if you want to think about it, preparedness and having a well-rounded prepping portfolio, if you want to think about it that way, that really is determined by your everyday decisions and your everyday interactions with people and your everyday practice of life. You don't just suddenly kick into this, hitherto unknown spectrum of mind whenever a disaster confronts you. No. Things are brought up that you had mastered, and sometimes those are bad things. So we want to try and master the good things now while we have a chance. So what we talked about today, survival lessons for everyday life. Number 1 is to be adaptable and flexible. 2 is to maintain a cheerful attitude and a cheerful perspective on life. And 3 is to pick good friends. So I hope it was helpful for y'all. Switching gears, I want to let you all know about the upcoming Medical Prep 101 classes. May 19th, Sunday, May 19th, I'll be in Indianapolis teaching Medical Prep 101. June 7th, which is a Friday, I'll be in Charleston, South Carolina. June 9th is Greenville. Then the last Sunday in June is Sacramento, California. So I encourage you guys to come out to that. That's going to be a good one. July, I'm going to St. Louis and Kansas City. Denver, Pittsburgh, Lakeland, Florida, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Richmond, Knoxville, Tennessee. There's a whole bunch of locations that I'm going to be teaching at coming up. So I encourage you guys to come out to it. Make sure you visit the website, www.thepatriotnurse.com. Check out the classes, the course description, register today. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to me, like me on Facebook, and follow me on Twitter. And I hope it was helpful for y'all. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see y'all later.